So, thanks again for joining me for another office hour. So, for those of you here for the first time, my name is Andrew. I'm a customer success engineer. I'm responsible for sharing best practices on how to use the channels, how to use the tool, how to optimize, your listings so that you can get more reservations, adopting new tools, adopting booking engine, adopting, every single feature that we have released to make sure that you can improve your sales, right? You can increase your sales. So we are here every week, to discuss that. Today we are here to talk about the booking engine and the website, of course, right? And the Google Vacation Rental specifically, right? So you're encouraged to ask questions. This is a practical session. So I have the dashboard open. Don't have, you know, a lot of slides here to go over because that's not the objective. The objective is a hands-on kind of office. That's why we call it office hour, right? So that you can ask any questions related to Hostaway, to the OTAs, how to improve your performance with that, and I'll be glad to work with that, to work together with you, right? So the more questions you ask, the richer, the experience is, right? Because your question might be someone else's questions. So I don't have many slides, but we always have some questions here, that come very often. So I'm going to take them out of the way, from the beginning. So the office hours are recorded. So if you're here for the first time, don't worry, you will receive a link to watch it tomorrow. Right? It goes 24 hours usually. It's when we send the recording. I can show you where to find the recording in case you don't remember which email you use to register to the webinar. So you will receive the link whether you attend to the webinar or if you don't attend to the webinar, right? So I always share the link regardless. So if you're in the different time zone, difficult to watch it in real time, yes, register and you will receive it. Okay. Practical session, I have already mentioned, right? So that's the only message, that I have for today. And all the rest, we are going to the dashboard and we're going to spend most of our time, discussing things like booking engine and any questions that you have, right? So we are here to support you with how to get things done, right? So I'm going to start with the end, which is the Google Vacation Rental, right? I can see most of you are already graduated. Some of you I haven't had the chance to meet, so I'm not 100% sure. But I always assume that if you're here, you're interested in learning from the beginning to the end, right? So I'm going to show everything from getting started all the way to the end, right? But not restricted to that. So if you have different questions about how to use Hostaway, and we still, if we have already covered everything about Booking Engine and Google Vacation Rental, I'll be glad to address that as well. Or maybe something that connects to the Booking Engine or connects to Google Vacation Rental. Sometimes it is a question not specifically about that feature, but how things are interconnected, right? Of course, be glad to address that. Or if you have any questions about channels or anything, by all means, feel free to ask the question. All right. We have a Q&A. The Q&A is open and you can post your questions. I'll be glad to address, once we cover, or sometimes I just stop, and we go over that. Right. So why do I want to start with the Google Vacation Rental first? Right. So I'm here, channel manager, listing mapping, channels. So if I go to Google, and by the way, this is my test account, right? So I can I can test anything without breaking anything and without disclosing information, from any of our clients, right? So if I go to Google Vacation Rent, so that's why some of the things that you see, they look a little empty. It's just because I delete listing, create listings sometimes just to show how to get things done here, right? So yeah, sometimes it will be missing information and you say, well, why is that listing that way? It is because this is made for tasks, right? So many times I have to show how to get something done. So the Google Vacation Rental, right? So remember, Google Vacation Rental is not the same as Google Business, right? So when there is a confusion, and understandable confusion, that okay, I have my listings on Google Vacation Rental, but it's not showing on Google Maps. They're completely separated entities, right? So for Google, they do not relate to one another, right? So on Google Business, for example, you can claim your business. You can say, hey, that's me, right? So I can prove, this is my business. I'm here, and you claim the business, right? So then you can make adjustments. You can be on Google Maps and everything. Google Vacation Rental, completely different, right? Google Vacation Rental, it's not something that you can add directly to Google Vacation Rental. It only works with property management softwares like ours, that have an integration with Google Vacation Rental and can push the information directly to that, right? So that's how it works. If someone is looking for a property with uh, in the region, that you have listings, and they understand that, okay, someone is looking for a short-term stay, they will populate with a list of listings near you, right? So this is an easy process, right? Very easy process, because all you have to do coming here, as long as your booking engine is complete, right? So if your booking engine is ready, it has all the information that you need, all you have to do is come here and push them to publish all, right? So if you select publish all, it's going to publish all your lists. It may take up to 2 weeks. That's the time frame that Google gives us, before putting live on Google. And you also have to review your logo, make sure that this logo here, matches the condition that they are requesting on Google, right? Which is PNG. And this one it's not even correct, this one here, because it's I have to modify this one, right? Because the name has to be here, right? So here you can use like 3 letters or so, but it's transparent, non-white background, right? So all the instructions here, are described, right? So basically, the only thing that you have to worry about is the logo, right? Besides the booking engine, assuming the booking engine is ready, right? And then you can publish and push, or you can push one by one, of your listings on that, right? So you see here, the brand logo you provided has been rejected, right? So that's the kind of message that you get from Google. If you don't pay attention, like I did because I was testing something else, this is what you're going to get, right? So then you review your logo, you try to publish again until you push it to Google Vacation Rentals, all right? So, but I'm going backwards, as I told you, right? First, before you get your listings on Google Vacation Rental, you have to first complete your booking engine, right? So we are going to cover, booking engine. I'm going to show you from beginning to end, how to get your booking engine, right? Already have a question here. Just give me a second. Okay, I believe I just explained. Someone is asking to clarify, why do we need the booking engine, to get it done? Because basically what the booking engine will do, and I will show the booking engine, in a minute, right? What the booking engine will do is what will feed Google Vacation Rental, right? So all the content, all the settings, everything that is going to be pushed to Google Vacation Rental will come from the booking engine. which, by the way, is collecting the information from the listings, from the calendar, and everything already inside Hostaway, right? So uh, Google Vacation Rental will display as a front end for all this information, right? So, and then when it comes to completing the transaction, for example, right? So someone sees your listing on Google Vacation Rental, they're redirected to Hostaway so they can complete the transaction inside the booking engine, right? So that's why you need that to complete the operation, okay? To set up and Google integration tightly. Okay, yeah, that's the integration provided. Yes, that's the integration provided by Google Vacation Rental, right? Through PMS. Now, and that's another reason why sometimes, someone might start from Google Vacation Rental and they may come back and end up being recognized as created by the booking engine, right? Because as soon as they come, we are going to have the information that they're coming from Google, and the reservation will be created as a Google Vacation Rental information reservation here on your calendar, on your inbox. You see the logo as Google. But then, if they come, they see the listing, then they leave. Maybe because they clean their cookies, or maybe because they are coming from another device or something like that, it will show as a booking engine, right? Because it lost the track, on where the client was coming from. All right. So sometimes you see that someone is coming, they saw your listings on Google Vacation Rental, but it ended up being a reservation completed on the booking engine, and then it looks like a booking engine reservation. All right. So going here to the booking engine. All right. So booking engine, first of all, you can have more than one, right? So you can have different ones. This one I customized. So I'm going to show one that I have customized. I have added the information, but it usually comes, with that image, right? Just a placeholder here, on the hero image and everything. So if you want to look, how is it? It shows the account ID plus holidayfuture.com, which is the domain that we have available for our clients. Some of our clients, they use that one. Some of our clients, they redirect their domain to use their domain together with Hostaway, right? So that's how it works. So you have options. I'm going to show you the options in a minute. So let's go to the other one that we have already customized a little bit. All right, so you can change the hero photo, that is going to be here. You can even use a video. Is it possible to use a video? If you hover your mouse here, you see that, yes, you can use, if it is a short video, right, up to 10 megabytes. Okay, so if it is a very short one, yes. And then all the options, related to design here, you can use it from this page. All right. Then going to listings, right? So I recommend you to always select automatically new listings, right? Because let's say you just got a new client, a new listing, a new property owner, assuming you're a property manager, right? Or maybe a property owner that bought a new listing. So instead of having to add automatically or risking like this one here, forgetting to check this box, I recommend you to select add automatically new listing. So every new listing that you bring to the dashboard will be automatically connected. I always recommend that with every automation, right? Unless you have different scenarios. In that case, don't. But in most cases that I talk to property managers, that's the case, right? So they will publish every listing. They want to have every listing that they're bringing and into the same account, into the same website, right? So you can select the automation here to add the listing automatically, right? Or, for example, in this case, I can select all, to check everyone. I can save. Now, categories, right? So categories is the tag that you see on the photo, right? So you can add tags. Actually, let me go here. Let me go back and forth because then you can see what we are doing here and how it is displayed on the front end, for the guests. So this is the category, right? So this is best price, but it could be anything. It could be pets, for example, right? Pets are welcome, or it could be a swimming pool. It could be anything that you believe it is the value that you're bringing to the guest, and it would catch the attention of who is trying to book a listing at your property, right? So that's something that you. This one, for example, I wouldn't recommend, right? To display a review that is a 2.0, right? So that's not a good one. And of course, I'm going to show you how to prevent that from happening, right? Uh, Now you can add more categories, right? So I added the best price. You can add several different ones, that you believe will make your listing stand, because of that specific feature or acceptance or promotional price. I have clients using for promotional price, right? So that can catch the attention of who is looking for a place to stay, right? Now, on pages, before I go to pages, let me see questions here. Okay. David is saying here that he published to Google, but hasn't got a single booking if someone can't see, if there is any errors. Okay. If you're seeing your listing on Google Vacation Rental, right, and you can see that even from, we open in a separate tab, so can come back here, right? So when you go to listings, from these logos here, right? You can jump from here straight to the front end, right? So to the channel and see how the guest is seeing the information, right? So if it is here, it is because you are integrated, right? So you are connected. I always recommend you come here because from here you can also see how the guest is seeing the information, right? Not exactly as a property manager inside, for example, in this case here on Airbnb dashboard, as a property manager, you will see how the guest is seeing on the front end. So that's always a good exercise. So if you're seeing that your list is connected, you're not getting reservations, there could be a couple of things. And for example, demand, right? So maybe there is no demand, coming from Google. I don't know how much you promote your brand, but regardless, right? I appreciate that you reached out, David, because we have a team that can take a look, and see if there is any opportunity, anything to change on your listing. And why am I not doing that now, right? Because I would have to open your account in front of everyone, right? So for privacy concerns, that's why we always use test accounts, so that we don't disclose, any information, right? So I cannot open that, but I have colleagues that can help you with that, right? So please, and that's for everyone here, not just for David, right? So this is a form. All I need is your email, your account ID. Your account ID you can find here on settings, right? So you can find it here, right? Your account ID. And with that information and your name and what kind of help do you need, right? Because then I can get someone from my team to reach out to you, right? And then check together with you if all the settings are correct, if everything is correct. If it is something related to the listing or the integration, or if nothing like that, it could be lack of demand or maybe uh, uh, pricing. It could be unrelated to technology, right? It could be demand and offer, maybe too many, competitors offering in your area. So it could be different things, right? When you say, I'm not getting reservations, I'm not sure if it is optimization or if it is, or if you're talking about integration, right? Regardless, what I'm doing here, I'm going to share with you, with everyone here. I'm going to share this link. So please fill out the form. If you need additional assistance, I'm going to get someone, to assist you and to investigate what is the issue, with your listings. All right. If there is one, right? So, but at least let's make sure that you don't have any issues, on the integration. And if it is a commercial thing, maybe they can share best practices, on something that you could be missing to optimize your listings. All right. Okay. Now, coming back here. Here on the booking engine is where you can customize the pages, right? So if I just click here, I will see the page on how it will be displayed on the website, right? So I can click here and I can see all the information, that can be published, right? Not necessarily is published, right? And why is that? Because you can select which pages will be displayed on your website, right? So you don't have to display them all. You can display just some of them, right? So on the footer menu or the header menu, you can select and you can modify the order, right? But then if I click here on the edit button, then I can modify information, right? So then I can create a title, I can modify the header, subtitle. The search bar, you can customize the search bar. That's something important, suitable for pets or not. That's it. I always recommend that you accept, right? So unless you are in an area, right, maybe in a building that does not, accept pets, right? So it is, you're not allowed to have, okay, then it's an extreme situation. But if not, I always recommend, my clients to test at least one listing, to accept pet and see how much you can increase your revenue, right? It is a lot, right? So, and I've checked that with the OTAs, with Booking, with Airbnb, with Vrbo. They can all confirm that with you, right? So listings that accept that. Oh, and then I ask, okay, what is the restriction about it? Very often I get like, yeah, but the clean is a lot more expensive. They can damage. Okay, but yeah, we had a guest last week, and was telling us about a listing that could increase by $100,000, just because they accepted that. So it is a lot of revenue that you could be missing by not accepting pets. So always consider that. Here, search by amenities, right? So we have some standard ones, they come by default, but you can replace them, right? So you can select which ones do you believe are more relevant for your listings, right? For example, air conditioning, right? So if you're in an area that is like expected to have air conditioning, that will not differentiate your listings, right? All your listings have air conditioning. So why would you have something like here, to be a selector to filter that information? You're not adding any value, to someone that is coming to look for your properties, right? So be mindful, of how many clicks, someone will take, to get to the information that they are looking for, right? You can customize, you can add images, right? As you can see, lots of customizations that can be done. You can see a footer and SEO, right? So there is a lot of information that you can add here, on the SEO. And I get asked quite often, about that, if it is possible to add information and which kind of information should be added, to the SEO. The thing about SEO is that SEO has to be customized for your specific property, right? So the same SEO that works for you probably does not work for someone else, in this webinar, to be honest. So this is something that, so what we created for you, right? And I can share here. Let me show this one here. All right, so that's a good opportunity for me to come back here and need help, right? So you can email support, you can create your tickets, you can call support, you can follow up with your tickets, and you can see the user guide, right? So if you look for one more thing, we were talking about the webinars, right? So previous webinars, if you want to watch them, they're here, 2025 Customer Success Office Hours, right? So let's say you missed one or you want to see, like today we are talking about a website and Google Vacation Rental, but maybe some other subjects are of your interest. I keep the link here so that you can watch it later. For example, we are talking today specifically about Booking Engine and Google Vacation Rental, right? Social media, influencer, they're all related to that, right? Because just creating your website, that's the first step of everything, right? Because yes, you do need a website. Yes, because how is the guest going to book, your place unless they can find you, right? So it has to be here. At the same time, in order to find you, you have to promote your website, right? So you have to be on, and back to David's question here, right? So not receiving reservation. So once you are integrated, if you don't promote your website, people will not find your website because, they come across, right? They stumble upon it, right? So many of the previous webinars that we did was about branding, about social media, how to use influencers. So we have many more that are related to what we are discussing today, even though what we are discussing today is more about building it, setting up things, just because it is, it is a broad subject, right? But promoting the website is just as important as having the website, right? So I strongly recommend you, to watch if that's not one of your expertise. We have many experts that we brought. We brought in marketing agencies. We brought in partners like Stayfi, to collect more emails, CRMs. We brought clients, property managers, talking about branding, talking about using influencers. So we have a lot of content here that I recommend you to go through, right, on how to promote your website, right? Because that's the best way, that you get the word out there that you have a website, right? So that you can get more reservations. So we have this article here, just to understand how you should use that information, from your listings, from your content, from your market, what you're trying to market, to adapt and have it here, on the on this fields here, right? What is the meta title? What words should I use? I have this article. You can find it on the user guide, but I can also share here, to everyone. So please check the chat. I just shared here, right? So keywords consideration, concise and clear, keyword placement, uniqueness, branding. So it's not a one size fits all, right? So you have to customize that, with your content to bring the information that makes sense when you're competing, against your competitors around you, for example, right? Some of the things bring more value than others, to the guest that is trying to book your property, right? So I recommend to go over that and review that, and then you come back. I'm going to close this one here. So then you can come back here, and then you can add this information, all right? And all right, let's go back. So I was going on home, right? So now let's go to listings. What is important about listings? From here, you can drag and drop, you can modify the order of the listings, right? So I have some clients, for example, property managers that are managing listings for different property owners. So you don't want to prioritize one in detriment of another one, right? So you want to make sure that you are fair, to all the property owners. And this is something that was requested and it was implemented because of that, right? So some property owners, they felt like left behind because their properties were all the way to the end. So this is a way that you can reorder every once in a while So everybody is displayed on the front end, right? Especially if you are managing many listings, right? If you're managing just a couple of listings, that's not a big deal. But if you're managing many, many listings, yeah, then someone will be left behind, right? Literally. So you can modify here, and that way everybody has some time on the sunshine, right? So about us, as the name says, right? So you can add information about you, how you started, what's what's your business, what it's all about. Privacy policy. We have a template here, that you can use the template. You can customize. This one was customized, for example, right? But you can modify everything, right? So usually, I believe, let me see, terms and conditions is very similar. So again, you can edit this, right? So you can modify and you can add the information with your name, the way that you prefer. So people already have preference, for some of the information. Contact us. Yeah, that's self-explanatory, how to use it. Reservation confirmation, right? That's what is important about this one, right? Sometimes people click, they complete the transaction, and okay, you can have an email. For example, we can automate an email, as you have seen. If you don't know how to do it, of course, just ask. I can show you how to get it done. As soon as the reservation is created, an email is sent, but you're facing the screen, right? So you, as a guest, they're facing the screen, or their mobile. It's like, okay, did I complete the transaction or did not complete the transaction, right? To answer that, we have the confirmation page. That's the purpose of it, right? So, and we can even add some variables here, right? So on the reservation confirmation here, right? So you can use the variables, the same variables that you use for communication, they can be added here as well, right? So that way it will collect the information from the reservation that is being created dynamically, right? And create that, okay? And then you can select if you want to modify button external URL, if you want to have it. Now, inquiry received, same thing, right? So you can have a page just to make sure that someone, when they complete the action as a guest, that all right, so my inquiry went. So it's not just clicking a button and nothing happened, and maybe they're clicking 100 times, right, and creating several inquiries, right? So this is a way to make sure that this is clear, to the guest. All right. Okay. Mike is asking, okay, when someone sees your listing on Google Vacation Rental after your listing has already been published, they will get sent to Hostaway to book. Yeah. Will Hostaway then send the guest to book via Stripe? Will it come as a direct booking? All right. I have addressed that. I don't know if you asked that question before or, the explanation or after the explanation, right? So when they come from Google Vacation Rental, you can see Google Vacation Rental as an additional interface for the booking engine, right? So they will come, they will complete the transaction because the transactional part, happens on the booking engine, right? So direct reservation, you create the reservation, for the guest. That's basically the difference, right? So if I'm here, if I go to, let me open in a separate tab. If I go to the calendar here, right? And I click here and I add a new reservation, I will add a direct booking, right? So in general, we always talk about direct because there is not an OTA intermediating the process, right? So, but direct, if we're talking about direct and showing as a channel like this one here, direct, it is when you create that, right? So we have the website one, it shows with a W, a yellow one. And even on the channels, right? They have different behaviors, on automations and everything. You can have completely different behaviors. And then you have the website that is the one that is coming from the booking engine. The one that comes from Google, identifiably from Google, you see a G like Google, right? So you not see as a direct. So even though they're processed, they will be processed by Stripe, yes, because it is the payment processor in place, right? But they will come as a Google reservation. All right. So I'm not sure if that what we're trying to understand, right? But three different types of reservations: direct, website, and Google, right? Why is that? Right. So technology wise, it's the booking engine that is pushing the information, and to complete the commerce part is also the booking engine that is processing that together with Stripe, right? Of course, Stripe is running on the background to process the payment, right? So yes, everything combined, but it's not either one or another, right? So going back. Yeah, what I wanted to show you. Okay, so about automations, right? Why it is important to understand the difference about them? Well, there is no OTA involved in that sense. They are similar, but all the, let me see, for example, an automation, right? So if we are building an automation, they're treated as different channels, right? So you see booking engine, you see direct, right? And then you see Google, right? So all the automations, even the payment, right? So if you're automating the payment on gas payment here, I can have different behaviors, right? I can create one instruction that works for Google in one specific way, and then I can create another automation that works with Booking Engine in a different way. So if it is coming from Google, it will process as you have set for Google, right? Not as the Booking Engine, right? Even though the technology behind feeding everything, is the Booking Engine. The reservation is considered a Google reservation, and it will follow any instruction that you gave the dashboard, to follow the Google instruction that you provided, right? So it will follow a different path, same as direct, right? So if you create a reservation as a direct, you can have a completely different automation, for direct reservations, right? So it is important to have that distinction, between them, especially because of the automations, right? And the formulas, all right? So there are many different places. Of course, I haven't seen yet, like a, a, a reason why someone would do a different formula, between Booking Engine and Google. But let's say you decide to do it. It is possible. Just pay attention, right? So if you're using the same formulas for direct, everything is good, right? But let's say you're customizing a formula, and then when you customize, you want to say that apply to specific channels, and then you say that this formula only works for Booking Engine or only works for Google, right? So that's why it's important to have a clear distinction, on what are we talking about and why are we talking about that. If you always follow the same set of rules on all the automations for direct Booking Engine and Google, then you're fine. All right. But if that's not the case, you better pay attention to that. All right. Thanks for the question. And they all are processed. The payment will always be processed by Stripe. Okay. Yeah. Nana is giving a feedback here. Appreciate it, Nana, that she had several reservations made on Booking Engine that she suspects it came from Google Vacation Rental. It is possible. Yes, it is possible. I've seen that happening a lot, right? So it's not considered as a Google Vacation Rental. And the reason behind is like cookies, things like that. So people don't complete the transaction right away, right? So they decide to do something else. They're sleeping on it. Then they decide to come back maybe from a different device, a different, not identifiable, right? So then, but then they already know your brand. right? So they don't have to go through Google again because they have already been to your website and then they complete the transaction as a Google. If they go all the way through at the first, the first time they get into contact with your website, they will be registered as Google, right? But if they leave, they get another device, or maybe they clean up their cookies. Yeah, that could be the case. Thanks. Thanks for sharing that. Sonia is saying that her search bar is not working as expected. Then I recommend you to please, go to share again, in case someone came in late, to the webinar. So this is a form for additional assistance, right? So please, if you have, if you're not sure if something is working well, or something that, okay, you need some help, to set up, yes, please fill out the form. I'll be glad to get someone joining on the call. And then you can share the screen, right? And then they can also access your account and tell you, okay, maybe you're missing something, but it's hard to tell, just by your question. I cannot tell. Richard is asking if Booking Engine can be resized. Sorry, Richard, I need additional information. Not sure what you mean. Like, like increasing the size, like in the browser. I'm not sure. Probably not that, right? So if you can provide additional information, I'll be glad to look into that. All right. So Teresa is asking here about reviews, right? Okay. Where can we make adjustments on the reviews like the one I just showed in a minute, right? So we have a review section here, reviews, and here you see the latest ones, right? So maybe, for example, I don't have any recent one, right? But let's go a little bit in the past. So yeah, of course, it depends on how many reservations you are accommodating. Can be a lot. So for example, this one was the 2-star, that we were talking about, right? So right at the beginning that I was seeing, okay, that's a terrible one, right? How, all right, so let me show. This one is already published, and I can hide here, right? So first of all, you can look for the ones that the guest left, right? So not the ones that you are showing. And by the way, it's just a coincidence that this is a booking engine, right? It could be any channel that would be available, right? So you can come all the way here, to the end, and you can hide it, right? That's the way that you hide the review that, okay, that was a negative one, I don't want that to be displayed, right? So here's where you can have it removed from the front end so it does not show to another guest that is coming by, right? And trying to book your listing directly. So reviews, you go to reviews, manage reviews, look for the review. You don't have to do like I did here. You can search by the guest name. You probably remember the guest name. Or as soon as the bad review comes here, you can come and you can hide, right? You don't have to wait until it appears. As soon as you receive it, you can just hide and say, wow, that's not fair. I'm not going to allow other guests to see that, right? Otherwise, people will think that I'm not paying attention to my listing, right? Okay, let me show. I still have more things to show you here quickly. Let me go back to the booking engine. That is also important, and then I'll go back to the questions in a minute. So pages, we have already covered pages, settings, right? So here's where you can add the logo, and this is also important, right? So people don't pay too much attention. Show map in search results, right? So people prefer to display the map so that it shows the value of the listing of being closer, to main attractions, for example, right? So people prefer not to show, maybe the location is not that great. So here is where you have control over that. Show listing reviews, again, right? So talking about reviews, here's, you select, you can remove them altogether, from here. But if it is just a bad review, like the one that we were talking about, you just go there and remove that specific review, right? Or maybe you don't want to display reviews at all, right? Show exact location in map, right? I have many property managers don't like to share that information, in the map, not the exact one, right? So they rather share the address and everything else. Once the payment is done, everything is complete and it's close to the check-in, right? So this is where you can define that. Show opt-in for promotional emails. That's always recommended, best practice. Include fees and discounts in the nightly price. So that's a way, to work exactly like Airbnb, like should work. So instead of showing many fees, everything can be included on the main price, right? So that's something that you can use. You can allow inquiries or not. You can allow instant bookings or not. I always recommend allowing instant bookings because, like, unless you have a very high occupancy, there is no reason, not to allow instant booking. Some people may just leave your website just because they wanted to book at the moment, right? So if it's not available, they might go somewhere else to book, right? So the conversion is a lot higher, on instant booking than inquiries, right? So that's something. Or maybe you're a property manager that are managing many listings and, okay, you have one property owner that will not accept instant booking, right? They only accept after they review inquiries. I've seen some cases like that, and then you can select all and remove, one listing that property owner asks you not to, right? So that's also possible. Display discount code. Yeah, I always recommend, especially if you're working with discount. Here you can reorganize the order of your amenities, right? So maybe some amenities are more important, more relevant, like I was telling you about air conditioning. Some places is just expected, right? And some tiers, right, of houses, of course, right? So it could be sometimes that's not the case, depending on the tier of listing that you're working with. And then maybe that's a very important information. You would rather have it, all the way to the top. So the system will prioritize what will be displayed, right? So this here, advanced, is where you can redirect, use your domain name and everything, right? Some people struggle a little bit because not everything is done here inside Hostaway. Part of this process has to be done inside your domain provider, right? If you need assistance, again, same thing, right? Ask for additional assistance. Someone will join you. You screen share, and then my team can help you, to find the best way, to set up, and then you get your domain redirected to Hostaway. Then you use the booking engine, but with your domain, right? Or you can use this holiday feature here that is available, right? There are many clients that don't change it at all. They just skip it, right? So this is a way that you can embed the search bar on a different website, right? So people, maybe you are working with different websites, right? So then you would like that people that visit your other website, would have the search bar to look for the listings. Of course, there is some customization here that needs to be done, but it's basically a copy and paste and some minor adjustments to remove, and then you either leave true or false, right? Things like that. And then the calendar widget. This one is on the account level. It will show all the listings that are being displayed on the booking engine. And this one is on the listing level. So you can have a calendar for each one of your listing, again, published somewhere else, right? So someone is looking at, okay, let's say a very common example that I see, like real estate agents, right? They have a real estate business and they like to show the availability of their listings on their website, right? So it's a different website, but you can add the calendar there, until you sell the house, maybe it is about to sell, for short-term rental, right? So then you can get an additional influx, of reservations, right? Again, SEO, Google Analytics. If let's say, for example, you're using, you want to see data from your campaigns and everything. You want to see the analytics of visits and reservations. You can add your Google Analytics track ID here, right? So that's very important. And also Facebook Pixel, right? Maybe you're promoting, you're using social media, right, to get traction. So on social media, you can have like content and promotions, right? Just talking about your listing, but you can also have the paid media as well, right? Same way as Google, you could have, for example, on Facebook. So you can add a pixel here so that you can track the conversion, back and forth. And here you find, if you click on this article here, you'll find information on the directing the domains, right? So that's something that is, if you prefer to do it yourself. But if you're struggling with that, just schedule a call, either from here or just click on need help, email support, and ask someone to join you, right? Or fill out the form. I get someone soon, right? So this is the 2-star, right? As you can see, it doesn't look like appealing, right? Not something that I would like to book, right? So why would we leave this here, right? So that's not something. This is the best practice, the category that I was showing you. So if I click here, I come, I see the reviews, number of reviews, I can see apartment, I can see some information. I can see the calendar availability from here, the reviews, descriptions, map. And then if I select the dates again, it will show what is available here. It's showing the information, and then I click on book now. And then it gives me a breakdown. It gives me the request information, to contact. Otherwise, the information doesn't come to the inbox, right? So it has to be provided either for booking a reservation or an inquiry. For the inquiry, of course, it wouldn't request the credit card here. Billing address, upsells. You can add the upsells when you're creating upsells on price and fees. You can add at that moment. It comes by default. If you don't remove it, you see here on the booking engine, so people can add if they want firewood, for example. Yes, they add. And as you can see, it modifies in real time. It adds to the total, right? If it is pet, then they have to define like how many. So then it also brings the price automatically, and now it's ready, right? So if you're creating a promotion with coupons and everything, someone can click, and here they can add the coupon. So after completing everything, the guest comes here and finalize the booking. Okay. You see here some more questions. Okay, Patricia is asking a question not related directly to the booking engine, but to Vrbo, right? She's having some issues with Vrbo. Just to clarify here, Vrbo changed the technology on their side, right? So it's not Hostaway that changed the integration to Vrbo. It's Vrbo that is changing the technology, right? So apologize if you're, having back and forth, until that gets complete, but it is something they're seeing on their side, how to address that, right? They're reviewing many things on their side. So we are aware of that. Unfortunately, it is something that they're rolling out. They asked us to implement, and it's taking a little longer, than expected for them to be ready on that, right? But they're working on it. And our team is working together with them, to get it sorted out. Okay, when the guest does the Google search, are your properties being displayed with direct booking website, Airbnb, booking at the same time together in Google Vacation search? Okay, so Google Vacation search, let's come here, right? So this is short-term rentals in Miami. So this is the Google Vacation Rental, right? This is the Google search. So yes, it will bring Airbnb because Airbnb, has their SEO a very strong SEO, and also this is sponsored, right? So they're also paying advertising to be at the top of the rank, right? So everyone that is sponsored here, it's because they're paying, campaigns, advertising campaigns to be at the top, right? So when we are talking about Google Vacation Rental, we are talking about this area here, right? So Google, nobody's paying here, to be on Google, being displayed here, right? All you need is a software like Hostaway that is integrated to Google and will display. So when you ask me, are you showing together with Vrbo? Yes. So because that's the Google rule, right? That's their model. So we just adapted. We just created an integration following their rules, right? But we don't we don't change the rules, right? So this is where you build will be displayed, and then if someone clicks on view all properties, then you go to one specific website, and here is exclusively, Google Vacation Rental, right? So as you can see here, vacation rentals, right? And then you will scroll, it will see, right? Now, if you ask me how is Google ranking that, that's a secret sauce, right? So they do not disclose how they see. Uh, so of course, but as you can see, all kinds of properties, right? And all tiers, different ones, types of properties, right? So nothing specific that you can say, you know, some of them look like a house, some of them look like a condo, right? This looks like a mansion, I don't know. So many different ones, right? So what's the criteria? And I was not even specific on my search, right? You saw I just typed in, short-term rentals in Miami, right? So you may experience, yeah, different titles and see which one works best, right? But I'm sure that best pictures, will work, better than others. I've seen some pictures that are better, you know, and are bound to get more reservation just because of attraction, right? Well, I appreciate your time. I have to end the webinar. And by the way, all the questions, any question that I haven't answered here, they're redirected to my product team so they can receive a feedback and understand what kind of questions you're bringing. Because sometimes some of your questions could be a feature request, it could be a difficulty to find things on our dashboard. So this is used, by the team to keep improving and keeping adding things to the software, right? So I always recommend everyone to click here to see latest changes, right? So we have AI replies, something new we are rolling out. This one will pop the answer automatically. It will help you a lot, and save a lot of time. We already have many, many clients using that. If you're interested, please click on it and say that you are interested on that, right? It will be displayed then on your inbox. But there are many things here, that you can you can have here, right? Don't forget to update your markups for Airbnb because on October 27, if you're working on the split fee, 3%, and the guest paying 14%, that's about to change. It's going to be 15%. It's going to be host-only fee for everyone, especially in North America, right? Because many countries that was already standard, right? North America, in US, that was not the case, right? Many people were still on the split fee. Check, make sure that if this is your case or not your case, so that you can review markups here on your listings and you can adjust. You don't have to adjust formulas, right? Because the formula will continue to work anyway, but you can add the markup here, right? To offset, the cost, the extra cost, the additional cost. If you're only paying 3% and you're increasing your cost, Airbnb is increasing your cost to 15%. All right. Thank you very much. And I see you next week. Thank you. Appreciate all the participation and all the questions. Thank you.